the night passed is, well, that's an uncertainty for both Ashe and Jin. Horaven, on the other hand, has a strict record of what occurred. He spent time with the two as they began to partake in a bottle of what Ashe referred to as fog apple extract. Oh, that's a pretty stupid name. The entire night came and went with Horaven not receiving a single glass. The gracious host Jin did not, perhaps consider pouring one out for him. So, eventually, when his bedtime rolled around, the giant stood, left, and walked back to his home. Quietly, he locked the doors, traveled upstairs, changed into his pajamas, and went to sleep. The very next morning, he awoke traveling downstairs. He looked to his left or right, seeing no sign of Ashe. The door was intact. He expected it in a different shape. It wouldn't have been the first time that somebody kicked a door down, as is the Honorian way. And with careful, calm footsteps to ideally not wake up anyone who's sleeping, he peered into the garden, where he found Ashe had pressed into a training dummy, covered in various wounds, stitched back together by Horaven himself, amidst the flowers, who apparently slept outside again.
Oh, Horaven. Morning.
Horaven turns around slowly, looks back into the house. You didn't come in through the front, did you? Did you pick the lock and then close it?
What? No, I climbed over the fence. I tried the door and I couldn't get it open.
What? Horaven turns to and looks to his right. What is assembled there is something closer to a palisade wall. What?
What?
Fence.
Yeah.
That's
I just
Ashe, that is as thick as an Altrean fortress wall. I put that
climb
there.
trees all the time. It's fine. It's just a big fence.
I put that there so if I ever lost hold of one of my swords, it wouldn't fly into the main through traffic area and unfortunately cleave someone in two.
Actually, there was a sword sticking through the fence where I tried to get up, and that acted as a pretty good foothold.
Harvin blinks twice. How did it get on the other side?
Oh no! It was sticking through from this side. The pointy end was facing the street.
Huh. I need a thicker fence.
Yeah, I pulled the sword out once I got over. I didn't want anybody coming in after me, just in case.
Frankly, I'm shocked you managed to pull it out, but at the same time, Horaven walks back inside. You hear chopping sounds.
I lift myself from the pillow dummy and brush myself off, wash my face in the well, and step inside hearing the chopping noises. So, do you have anything other than a pepper for breakfast?
What? You notice that Horaven is honing a knife with another knife. The chopping sounds are him whittling. Making breakfast? No, I'm forging a superior tool at this point in time.
Is there breakfast anywhere around here? The food to eat in the morning?
Ah, yes, I have not committed myself to a fast break in quite some time.
Well, let's commit. I'm really hungry and could use some food. I think weirdly enough, I think I had too much to drink last night. Whatever Jin had was really good.
Why are you saying that
really,
like it's
really
a good thing? You look proud of yourself. Are you one of those people?
What do you mean one of those people? I'm just happy. I've never really, I guess I got drunk last night. I've never had that happen.
He takes a few steps forward, looming over you. Ashling, you have to understand, there's nothing cool about getting totally smashed. You think it makes you cool, makes you fit in amongst your peers, but at the same time, you look like a goddamn moron to everybody else.
Oh God, you're right. What, did anything happen last night? When did you leave? I kind of lost track of time.
It was probably around the time that you were exchanging vague phrases that Jin seemed to comprehend, but that were outside my understanding.
Yeah, I kind of picked Jin's brain about spirit stuff last night.
Brain?
Is that it's a turn of phrase?
Disgusting.
It means I asked him questions.
Oh, well, you were asking him plenty of questions before that I believe I did my best in answering. They perhaps became too confusing for me after a point.
That's fine. So
don't worry about it, buddy.
I step over to the counter, and seeing as Horaven's not doing anything about breakfast, I kind of point to the pepper and ask, can I I mean, it's a bit boring for breakfast, but until we get some real food, can I have that pepper? Is that the same?
It's another.
Where did you get that pepper?
Ash, you ate the first pepper. I've got a little thing to explain to you. It's called object permanence. It's a concept that I became familiarized with. Yes?
I understand. I ate the first pepper. It's gone. Where did you get this new pepper?
This is another pepper.
From where?
From the market.
There's a market?
Yes!
Let's go to the market and get some meat.
It's back in Honorant.
Is there any meat in your house?
Meat? Why would you want meat?
Because I'm hungry.
But this pepper's right here.
Horaven!
I don't follow your line of reasoning. Horaven continues chopping a knife with a larger knife.
Horaven, is there anywhere here that serves food, like a stew or something? Like something substantial? Bread.
I believe we could make a. Oh, you want bread? Oh, in that case.
Going to lose it over here, Horaven.
He opens up the cabinet. There is, from top to bottom, there are multiple loaves of bread. I'm a big fan of the sandwich. He takes a loaf of bread, puts it down on the table, and begins chopping off pieces of it. He takes the pepper and slides it between the two pieces of bread. Perfect.
What do you normally eat, Horaven?
To tell you the truth, I mostly forage for nuts and berries.
I raise my eyebrows and I stare at him in shock.
I considered for the first time that I was having true company over, that I couldn't just rough it in the woodlands, as they say. I could go out and kill a deer or something, but at the same time, I'd be worried that it's some sort of spirit folk in disguise around these parts.
That's a fair worry, especially here. Bread?
Instead, I tend to stick to vegetables I could procure from the market, or the things I can grab around here. I have yet to meet a pepper spirit folk. Horaven eyes the pepper worryingly.
Yeah, I step closer and also eye the pepper curiously. Are you sure that spirits can't be vegetable-ish? I mean, I didn't really consider it until now.
Frankly, this is throwing my worldview into question.
Okay, well, bread is safe. Bread is good. Bread is cooked. That's probably not a spirit. I ask Horaven for a small loaf of bread and tear off chunks and start eating. So what's next on the docket? I still have a couple questions I want to ask and possibly re-ask Jin. There are some I don't remember asking and some I don't remember getting answers to. But for now, what? Horaven the hero. I'm curious. What is your daily routine?
Well, normally I wouldn't be sticking around this house quite so much. But seeing as how I have a guest, I'm sort of left, unsure of what to do. Normally I'd be traveling the countryside, righting wrongs and collecting followers.
Spirit followers?
Generally, yes.
On that note, Horaven, I'm curious. You mentioned that, you study the shamanic arts.
Study? No, studied.
Studied. So you're not involved in them anymore.
No, I perfected them. You don't continue to study after you finish
something. You perfected them?
Yes.
Well, I guess that makes sense. Could you teach me? I mean, I sort of have my own circumstances, but I'd be interested in learning to speak with other spirits.
Ash?
I'd very much appreciate it if you could teach me.
I'm going to tell you what my first master told me when I was just a stupid young boy.
Okay.
You can speak with the spirits at any time, Ash. You just merely need to open your mouth.
For a moment, I stare into the middle distance. I take a deep breath. I turn back to Horaven. Well, right, but there's got to be more to it than that. Like, it can't be just as simple as, saying, hey, let's team up.
Well, you see, there are two types of people in the world. That's a
Really?
horrible generalization. There are two types but in this case, there are two types of people in the world. There are those that have a special talent for this art. Say, those who have some sort of, supernatural connection to the elements, some business like that.
Right.
And then there are the rest of us.
Yourself included?
Myself included.
Okay.
You see, if you have some sort of special talent, the ability to communicate, well, without speaking, it's tricky. If it's a magic power or just body posture or just how you smell, something. Some combination of things allows you to connect with spirit folk that can't traditionally speak. That is a talent that very, very few people possess.
Do you have that talent?
No, of course not.
How do you seem? You seem so successful in talking to spirits, though. How is that?
Well, I practiced that trick, Ash. I practiced that trick a lot. I continued
trick?
opening my mouth and speaking until things listened to the words I said.
So it was trial and error.
Yes!
Could you show me to a spirit here? Like, I guess, I don't know. A lot of the time you seem to be talking to invisible creatures that can't be seen. What? Can you see them? Is there something that I'm missing?
No, I can't see them. They're just particularly good at hearing.
Huh.
You see, Ash, there are tricks you can absolutely learn. Tricks that can be passed on to anyone. The main attribute of channeling spirit folk, making their powers work for you, isn't to somehow perfect yourself. It's to find companions whose own abilities complement each other. To put them together to form your own magic around you. Your web of connections will be your power in itself. For example, Horaven closes his eyes for a moment. The same aura of serenity spreads around him. You feel power within your own body welling up. You see that business?
Yes, how do you do this, specifically?
That is not me at all.
Well, how do you achieve this
That's a
result?
friend.
Yes, where? I start looking around the room almost frantically.
I think they're vacationing in the far north around this time of year.
What? But how are they influencing the world here?
Spirit folk are a mysterious and powerful bunch, Ash. If you can find one whose power can exist across great spaces, you can communicate with them with a simple sign. For example, every time I completely slacken my face, he slackens his face again, closing his eyes, the serenity aura spreads again. My friend backs me up with a little bit of spirit folk support.
All right. Well, what if there's a specific spirit or something that I want to talk to that I'm stuck with?
Then you'd probably need to study with a better shaman, if I'm being fully honest. Horaven looks back down and continues cutting his knife, then looks to the side for a second. After a term was thrown around recently, Paladin. I did some reading. There are individuals in other lands who build a sort of energy within themselves and use that as a focus.
Interesting.
Let's say, for example, that you were able to condense a spirit folk down to juice.
Okay.
And then you totally bathed or drank that juice.
Okay.
It might give you some of those, well, naturally inborn talents that I was talking about earlier. Instead of you having to rough it, you'd be basically covered, jammed full of a spirit folk scent, its essence. Of course, you'd need to go about turning a spirit folk into juice, but at the same time.
Right. Like that would happen. I roll my eyes.
I think you're underestimating the arts of alchemy.
I'm not extremely familiar with alchemy I'm not too familiar with alchemy. All I know is I want nothing to do with it. I don't want it in any house I'm residing in.
That's a very narrow method of thinking.
Well, let me put it this way. The company I keep, I would rather not use it in my home.
How do you...
not in my place of residence.
He continues shifting around. This time, now that he's finished his knife, he continues chopping vegetables with frightening speed. In that same regard, what do you think that substance you were drinking last night was created with?
I don't know. Science?
Alchemy!
I air quote science.
What the fuck is that?
I don't know. I don't know. A friend invented it.
No, it's made with the traditional alchemical arts.
Traditional alchemical arts. I am unfamiliar with any traditional alchemical arts.
I quickly digested a book on it last night. And I mean that figuratively, not literally. Horaven walks away with 2 sandwiches.
I follow after the sandwiches and Horaven.
Horaven sits down, putting the sandwiches in front of him. Apparently, while he was, talking about something, his hands just subconsciously cut up the food. It actually looks pretty appetizing.
Oh, may I, Horaven?
Oh, yes, of course. But no, I was going off on a tangent.
I tear into the sandwich as he continues.
You see, humans can accomplish a great many things through the mastery of different arts that are outside their own. I do my best to hone my body to its most absolute, he puts up his fist. But at the same time, there's so much that I can't do. The arts I've learned, what I channel, I do consider myself a true paladin, if I am saying that correctly, in that they are simply individuals who channel the divine.
I swallow the food that I was stuffing into my face, and so you don't contain the power within you.
No.
Okay, so in that sense, the term paladin is not necessarily applicable. Do you know the
term
origin?
paladin is extremely applicable, Ash.
Sorry. Do you know the origin of the term paladin, or where that came from? Do you have anything I could read on that?
Yes, I'll go get the book. Give me a second.
Okay.
Thump, 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 thump. Horaven comes back downstairs with a stack of 3 books.
My sandwich is gone.
I looked through each of these, but at the same time, I don't know if one of these has any value. He slides the guide to being an Al-Irani paladin across the table. You might want to skip out on that one. It's a little...
I frown at it.
It's a little murdery.
The murdery part isn't necessarily what's turning me away from it. I flip through it, just looking at the general Al-Irani vernacular.
No, I've got 2 flavors. Horaven places the remaining 2 books on the table. One is an incredibly thick, dusty-looking tome, covered in very complex writing that frankly hurts your eyes to look at. Just deciphering it is quite painful. The text on the front of the book is, it's Old Anorian, a language that was spread around in, decades past, before the Al-Irani took it, bastardized it, copyrighted it, and called it free, the language you're speaking right now. The characters are similar, yet hard to recognize at the same time. The Al-Irani did a number on it.
I stare at the book, brow knit, eyes squinting. What does it say?
The text reads, Simon Gladman's vaunted text on paladinry.
Oh, okay.
Or you could take this alternative. He slides another book across the table. It's it's top to bottom, bright colors. A cartoonish figure stares at you with, frankly, a mortifying grin on its face. And in a big, garish font, it reads, legibly, Pallin' around with Pally Dan.
I chuckle a bit and say, can I take both books?
No, you need to choose.
Horaven, don't make me choose.
This is important.
I have to admit, I have a little bit of difficulty with... You're sure I can't take both of them?
No, this is important. It's a test of character.
Horaven, it's kind of embarrassing to admit. If you tell anybody, I will find you. But I have a bit of difficulty with modern written language.
Oh, so by extension, Old Anorian must be...
I don't know what it says.
Frankly, I struggle with the characters occasionally myself. It slows my reading pace down. Sometimes I can't even finish a book like this in a night.
A night, Horaven? This, I point to the other one, would take me like a couple days, minimum.
I could teach you some...
I don't write very much.
Well, regardless, perhaps it wasn't fair to give you such a test. I apologize. He slides both books across the table.
That's fine.
I merely wanted to see if you were willing to swallow your pride in pursuit of knowledge.
My what?
Yes.
I guess I just did. I I told you that I have... Look, I come from a vocal place. It's not...
You take all 3 of the books. Regardless, based on the information gleaned from that... Well, according to this book, he touches Simon Gladman's text, the art of paladinry came from a northern land, the northernmost reaches of a northern land, a location constantly locked, controlled by a reign of, near weather-like curses. It's a land called Freark.
Freark?
The paladins there were originally snow warriors, individuals who worshipped and channeled their gods to merely stay warm.
Huh. That's okay. That sounds familiar. Well, I mean, I don't know of them, but I mean, that practice sounds familiar.
But by the same regard, paladinry has spread all over the place.
Huh. Separately? Like, did it originate in different places, or did it spread outward from Freark?
This was the location where the term was coined, but it was adapted elsewhere. The golem crafters of Altrea, for example, took on the term paladin in recent memory to add sort of a flavor to it.
So they stole it. They just stole it and used it because they thought it sounded cool.
Horaven shakes his head. Quite the opposite, in fact. They were adapting to a globalized standard. If we were more forward-thinking over here in Honorant, we would be using the term paladin instead of shaman. And frankly, I'm a little ashamed right now.
Ashamed? Why be ashamed? Shaman, why? Shaman is what you learned. Like, that's the natural history of this place. Why would you adapt something from somewhere else? Why not just be, I don't know, proud of being a shaman, I guess?
I could be proud of being both, but being unable to recognize the term overall, well, that's my fault. As a hero of the land, I need to keep up to date on the current events.
Well, but you're a hero of this land. You're not a hero of those lands out there. I gesture vaguely. And the hero of this land is a shaman.
Ashe, that is isolationist and xenophobic thinking. I can recognize myself as a shaman, and amongst
I look a little worried whenever he says that. Kind of scratch my head.
I can recognize myself as a shaman, and to the people around here, I can be recognized as a shaman. But if somebody says you're a paladin, I can also nod because that's the term they know me as. So long as you channel the power of the divine, that's exactly what you are.
I still don't know how I feel about that.
Call it what you will, your title is ultimately your own, you get to decide it. But at the same time, getting along with people from different places counts for a lot too.
Yeah, I'll give you that.